Hi guys, it's Debbie, and last night I watched the new Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Burn. And when I was booking the tickets, I actually thought to myself, if you think about it, isn't it a bit weird that we're all getting hyped up to go and see 2 hours of people getting hurt beyond anything imaginable? Watching an Evil Dead movie means you must be prepared for non-stop pain, gore, blood. Ever since the very first Evil Dead movie back in the 80s, we've had trees... And that is even considering I haven't seen the 2 sequels made in the late 80s, early 90s. I've seen the very first Evil Dead, then the 3 standalone films, so the 2013 Evil Dead, and then Evil Dead Rise, and now Evil Dead Burn. You don't need to have seen any of these movies in order to understand what's happening to the characters in this movie. In all of these films, groups of people, usually friends or family in isolated places, stumble across a mysterious book, the Book of the Dead, which contains an incantation that, when read aloud, awakens evil forces that start possessing them and turning them against one another. The remaining people have to fight tooth and nail to survive and escape, usually getting really creative with whatever they can get their hands on. This new Evil Dead follows a similar premise, with a family coming together in the aftermath of a funeral, but things quickly descend into total hell as something evil starts taking over. Now, as you can tell, I'm avoiding spoilers, but with these films, there's technically not that much that you can spoil. It's mostly 2 hours of people basically fighting for their lives. That said, I would suggest avoiding looking up too much about this film, because I've seen even official clips showing footage which would have been best kept as a surprise in the film. Anyway, what really changes from film to film is just how creative the filmmakers can get. For example, one thing I loved with this new movie was the excellent use of space. By the end of the film, you could mentally map out the entire house, every nook and cranny, ceiling, basement, or wall. Every object lying around ends up being used. We get long continuous takes of characters absolutely destroying the house. The camera flips upside down, spinning around, moving in and out of rooms, and the blaring music makes everything even more disorientating. It really makes you feel like you're inside the chaos. I only wish there could have been a bit more colour. A lot of this film is grey and dark. I understand it's mostly set in an isolated house at winter, mostly at night, but loads of the film is very dark. I wish there was just a pop of colour. And just when you thought that the previous film had reached its peak of creative violence, the filmmakers come up with something different to make you squirm even more in your seat. There is one scene, for example, let's call it the romantic scene, if you know, and there was a guy a few seats down from me, and he very quickly put away the crisps he was eating. It's also crazy to think how the very first Evil Dead, which was Sam Raimi's feature debut, managed to launch all of this. They created this insane non-stop horror with a very limited budget and under awful filming conditions. Apparently they were freezing on set, getting ill, burning furniture just to stay warm, filming in real swamps and mists, and the actors went through so much that they actually ended up getting cut, stabbed and hit by objects during production. I wonder if they would have ever imagined where this franchise would have been 45 years later. They've even already finished filming the new Evil Dead movie, the prequel to the original one, which will be released in 2 years. And with the franchise producing so much at the moment, one film after the other, I am pretty sure that sooner or later we're going to hit a wall where either the content becomes repetitive, where it becomes boring, or people simply lose interest. But considering how successful the franchise is, I don't think the studios are going to let it go anytime soon. They'll probably keep experimenting with different formats. Sam Raimi remains the mastermind behind it all, but over the years we've had different studios, crews, characters, timelines, spin-offs, reboots, so the franchise can realistically go on in almost any direction. They even talked about making an animated series. The biggest downside of the Evil Dead movies is that if you get bored with this type of concept, they don't really offer much more than that. Although there are interesting character dynamics, because in the end you're fighting and killing people you love, and eventually you don't even know who you can trust. For example, one of the most tense moments in this new movie is the family dinner, which then sets everything in action, where you start to see the first cracks forming between the characters, and that's genuinely terrifying, almost more than some of the gore which by that point you're already expecting. There are also some characters who are clearly better written than others. Some exist mainly to be thrown into the action. Personally, I love the dad. He was absolutely terrifying, and I don't think I'll forget some of his stares anytime soon. The plot obviously had some pretty big holes, some of which are patched over with incredibly convenient information suddenly appearing on a phone in a way that a phone would never show it. And I think most people can agree that the ending was a bit it leaned a bit too much into tacky CGI, which shifted the vibe completely from what the movie had built up until then. There were a couple of moments in which the film could have perfectly ended, avoiding all of that. So I would recommend the movie if, well, obviously if you can stomach this kind of content, and if you're not bored with the repetitive Evil Dead style of movies. If you have already seen it, I would love to hear what you think about it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And if you haven't seen it yet, what do you think about it? Does it sound like something interesting? Are you planning on watching it? I can't wait to read all your comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.